Hello there, Battle Union fans, and welcome once again to the Union News. This following the Week 5 games, and as ever, I'm not alone. I am joined by my man, Chaos in the Sky.
Good to be back.
It is indeed some very interesting games, possibly some results one might not have expected from what's happened on paper in the past 4 weeks. But what we're going to do without any further ado is get straight into the overview of the games that happened. And first up, saw Josh and SLATEPORT VALE taking on Enzo and the Swiskers. This was a game that, once again, for Josh, ended in a 4-0 victory. Josh was bringing some cool sets, some very potent setup, offensive Trick Room Aromatisse, sub Tailglow Manaphy with some interesting coverage.
Ooh.
Shadow Ball alongside Stab hits Enzo's team quite hard. Other than that, it was all fairly standard stuff. On Enzo's side, we saw the likes of Support Miss Majors, which is a set that I personally really like with Willow and Taunt. I quite like the touch of having a mill tank named after Trip getting body slam paras. That was fairly entertaining.
Oh, that was great. That made my day.
It was really quite nice. I was a bit worried for Josh, trying to set up rocks on a Stormy. You know, Stormy is Enzo's rapid spinner, and it can hit Josh's spin blocker for super effective damage. That, of course, being the Chandelure, but it seemed to work out. He was able to keep putting pressure and getting rocks up whenever he could. And what else worried me?
To be fair, I mean, with the amount of hacks that Josh is known for, the rapid spin probably would have missed.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong. He can hack into the game. We've already established this. So you are not wrong. It could well have missed, even without Bright Powder, which I feel like isn't allowed. But yeah, you know, I'm sure Josh can find a way of getting it involved. You know, speaking of hacks for Josh, he did bring Jirachi and bluffed the Scarf very well indeed. You know, able to sort of make Enzo believe he was locked in on Ironhead. And once the Bioshock comes in, he can just go for that very well disguised Drain Punch, take out a big threat on Enzo's side, and then start making some manly plays. You know, I believe he Volt switched on a Mamoswine as it switched into Starmie, which was nice. And we get into this weird endgame where I thought that Josh had kind of choked it away, or rather Enzo had choked it away. You know, Josh was behind a sub with Manaphy. Enzo has taunted it, I believe, so he can't set up for too much more. And then Enzo U-turns out with Talonflame, knowing that his Talonflame is going to be KO'd on switching due to rocks, and his Starmie has gone down. And I'm thinking, why are you doing this? You know you can't break the sub with U-turn. Josh is ready to go, but from nowhere, Enzo pulls out the Hyper Voice Mega Ordino, lives a +3 Scald, and is able to be sort of taking out the Manaphy, that's the one, behind a sub, which was really excellent prep on Enzo's part. Unfortunately for Enzo, by that time it was going to be too late. You know, at that point, Scarfed Staraptor was able to clean up the game for Josh. So some really cool builds on both sides, but you know, Josh just had the power in the form of that well-maintained Scarfed Staraptor able to clean up and give him the 4-0 victory.
Did you happen to watch Josh's side of the battle?
I did.
And Gassie's commentary?
Yes.
I just thought that we should take a little time out of this battle's turn to talk about that.
Yeah.
Mainly that he pronounced Juvia Hoovia as if it was from Whoville. And that is why Gassie is now banned from being talked about in Union News. We'll be skipping his match this week because he no longer matters at all. I no longer care for his existence. He
was very, very, very happy with Scarfed Starwaptor, I believe, with the Brave Bird.
The Brave Bird and the Hoovia and the how do you pronounce words without W in them?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that he doesn't have any R's in his name because I would be replacing them with W's.
There's not even
for
an R
the rest of time.
There's not even an R in Juvia, and he put a W in it anyways.
He did actually. I wonder if he's going to be doing that with every single one of his commentaries from now on.
Next week, all of his Mons better have a random W put into their nicknames.
I hope he pronounces it Azumawil. That's personally what I'm hoping for. Azumawil and Tawakion.
Azumawil will win.
There it is. The pun game is strong with this one.
It's too good.
But yeah, a nice 4-0 for Josh, maintaining his perfect record so far. So I guess with that, we'll probably move on to the second game. And that saw Richie and Liverpool FC taking on the aforementioned He Who Must Not Be Named. No, it's
Grassy
not
Mexican.
It's not Lord Voldemort. It is in fact Super Gassy. Though one could say they are potentially as evil as each other. But yeah, this was another sort of Richie really desperate for a win at this point. Gassy looking to get himself back on track after taking a loss, and it was Gassy who came out on top with a 3-0 victory. Some of his sets again, some really nice builds. Physically defensive Megazord.
I've got to stop you for a second. I just realized I accidentally said Grassy Mexican, a different YouTuber, because every time I think of Gassy's name, I say that YouTuber instead.
Oh yeah, so you did.
I wasn't saying anything racist. I don't even know if Gassy is Mexican or not, but I was accidentally saying a different YouTuber's name. My mistake.
I've never seen Super Gassy and Gassy Mexican in the same room at the same time.
That's a very fair point.
Maybe they are the same person. Who can say?
Yeah.
In this day and age.
But anyways, I wanted to make sure that people didn't get confused on Gassy's heritage because I accidentally said a different YouTuber.
Absolutely.
Continue on with the match.
Yeah, so physically defensive Megazord X with Dragon Dance. One of the 3 Pokemon, I think, in existence that could set up on Victini, which is interesting. What else have we got here? Especially defensive Ockerberry Ferrothorn. That was sort of mainly there for Mega Gardevoir because Mega Gardevoir, water switch-ins. Speaking of which, banded Terrakion on Gassy's side because, again, water switch-ins.
Oh my goodness.
I was a bit worried for him, really, with his team, though, because if he lets Terrakion go down, depending on the Suicune set Richie brings, Suicune could have been a real issue for him. It didn't look like he had all that much that wanted to deal with, for example, your classic Crocoon set. And then on Richie's side, he brought Megavoire, Victini, Mienshao, Suicune, Zapdos, Trevenant. So showing off his 2 new members, Megavoire and Trevenant, Swords Dance Mienshao, because pain. And also, is that a Specs Suicune that he brought? Do we have any kind of confirmation on that?
I honestly have no idea. I don't remember.
Because I suspect it might have been, given the damage it did to an HP-invested Megazord X, nearly taking it out with a Hydro Pump. That's another thing that sort of tips you off that it's a weird set. It's running Hydro Pump. It could well have been Specs. I would have loved
Probably was Specs or E-Belt, maybe?
Could well have been. But either way, some nice builds once again from Richie, showing that he's not averse to running slightly stranger sets. It wasn't looking too good from early on, though. Gassy was forcing him to play how Gassy wanted with Toxic Spike's pressure. Zard managed to get a crit burn onto the Zapdos, but Richie played his Zapdos fairly well despite the early setback, trying to wisely prioritize defog over damage on the likes of Gassy's Cofagrigus. And what I really enjoyed was that this was a max HP with some defense investment, Ockerberry Ferrothorn, which still doesn't take a Life Orb V-Create.
Nothing does. Nothing.
Even with an Ockerberry, it's like, what is an Ockerberry to a Life Orb V-Create?
What is a Pokemon to a Life Orb V-Create?
What indeed? Richie, sort of, there were a few turning points for him. He looked to be sort of at least, if not on top, he was at least very much in it. But he allows Donphan to knock off his Trevenant Citrus Berry, and then the massive turning point. Gassy goes into Cofagrigus as Mienshao Swords dances, then doubles back into Terrakion to get the justified boost from knockoff, meaning he can switch up moves, still have +1 attack, and he can basically sweep with Terrakion. So again, it was fairly evenly matched throughout most of it, but just that one turning point, which has been a sort of running theme for Richie, unfortunately, this season, really costing him in the end.
I was just like screaming as I watched Gassy's side. I don't think Richie has uploaded yet, but I was just like screaming at the screen, like, please, Richie, sub this turn, sub, and he didn't.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but as we say, these sort of 50-50 turning points, or at least around there, have kind of gone against Richie this season, and they have, unfortunately for him, been at very crucial times.
Yes, it's very unfortunate for Richie, but I'm sure he will bounce back like the great horse he is.
Of course. Absolutely, I have ultimate faith. So, with that, moving on to the third game, this saw Quill and his Dungannon Typhlosions taking on Trip and the Dallas STARAVIAS, and Trip continuing his run of very good form of late with a 3-0 victory and some really cool sets on both sides. Firstly, Quill bringing the double setup pain of Nasty Plot Thunderous Therian and Swords Dance Life Orb Infernape.
Oh, ooh,
Oh,
ooh.
ow! And the beauty of Thunderous Therian is the fact that Trip's team is fairly slow, so he could afford to run a Nasty Plot set, not Agility, and still outspeed everything Trip had except for Raichu, which was quite nice. Also packing Roselli Berry Metal Burst Sableye, that's nice as well.
I wish that would have worked.
Yeah, so did I.
We would have had two. This week we would have had 2 first turn Amaza kills.
Yeah, it would have been fantastic, but we'll get onto that kill a bit later because that's a different game. But my God, what a moment it was! The main set I really wanted to work for Quill was Power Herb, Solar Beam, Flame Charge, Typhlosion, which is magnificent. Absolutely love it. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to work out for him. Trip was bringing some strange sets as well. I like Toxic on Mega Medicham. That's really nice for those bulky switch-ins that Mega Medicham can't deal with. Get a Toxic on them, deal with it with something else. I like it. I didn't like his Celebi set. I didn't like it. He packed Shockwave and Shudder Ball on a Calm Mind set. Yes, you can hit Skarmory, but you have it covered with so many other things that I don't think he needed that. And then Hidden Power Fire Sizzle for the same reason. It's like you have other things for Skarmory, and he doesn't have anything for if a potential Haxorus sets up. He doesn't
Does
have Word
Celebi
Punch.
not get Thunderbolt?
No, it doesn't, which is weird.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
But yeah, the game, Trip, you know, he made some nice early plays, switching out Florges on Sableye, predicting Skarm. It was weird because Quill revealed the Metal Burst, looking for that first turn Moonblast, but Trip actually missed it. He wasn't looking. So inadvertently avoiding a really bad start. And Quill was able to sort of get back into it, neutralize Trip's Dragonite very effectively by getting a burn off on it, getting it scarfed, so it basically couldn't be setting up to negate the burn. And, you know, Trip was forced to kind of sack it off. And throughout the game, he started making really nice middle ground plays. He wasn't willing to risk the high jump kick onto Skarm with Sableye in the back. It would have been very easy to just try and take out the Skarm from where it was, but he held back knowing that the switch was there. And, you know, Quill, he was playing well as well. It looked like he was letting Celebi get out of control, but he knew that he had the contingency to deal with it. So that was fine. You know, he let it get up some calm minds, but he had contingency in the back to deal with it. And, of course, he had the Skarm, who was whirlwinding around very well. He's played Skarm very well this season, I think. The main moment in the match was Quill switching Typhlosion into Mega Medicham, which was a huge misplay, which basically cost Quill any chance he had because Trip had just gone for a high jump kick, and I don't think Quill had too much of a reason not to go into Sableye when he went into Typhlosion, because at the end, Trip was able to Calm Mind on the Sableye, and this was very, very well played by Trip. He was very aware of potential Roselli Berry on Sableye, which was what the item was. Having seen no leftovers, he said that. He's like, haven't seen leftovers, could well be Roselli, so I'm not trying to stall, I'm just trying to make sure I preserve differential. Very intelligently played, but at the end game by Trip. He has had a bad start to the season, as we said, but he's really looking good now. He's improved dramatically in a very short space of time.
Yeah, I agree. Trip has been doing really well these past few weeks. Really coming back after, I believe he had 2 losses, and now he's up 3 wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking very good for him.
He is. He played this game very well, you know, scouting throughout the game very well and playing an intelligent endgame. Well played to him. So with that, we're going to move on to the 4th game. Now, this game saw the Somerset Sizzles and Sizzawesome versus Eric's currently unbeaten Bristol Bidoof. Now, before we get into this game, we should say these two have had a few timing issues. You know, the game was played a little bit late. We all know that Scissors had his problems with his computer not quite playing ball. So neither side have uploaded this week just yet. So we only have the results to go on. And what a result it was, seeing Sizz and the Somerset Sizzles take a 3-0 victory, which on paper would be very unexpected. Now, I've spoken to Eric briefly after this battle, And I
Let me
know
take it from here. Let me take it from here. Eric Dunn B-doofed it up. He went in with the most broken team of all time, with Tyrantrum fresh off the bench, just like looking like, oh hey, you look at me and you die. And then he's like, oh hey, look, there's a B-doof over there, and he just watched it as he just stared lovingly into its big buck teeth and was like, yeah, that's a good-looking B-doof right there. Then he looks back at the screen and 4 of his Pokemon were dead, and thus was the story of Siz's first win.
He didn't bring Tyrantrum, I should say, at this point.
Yes, he also didn't bring Tyrantrum, which was his 78th failure of that day.
Yeah, I mean, so having spoken to Eric about it, I know he wasn't happy with his performance. He's also very much given credit to Sizz for what was apparently a very well-played game. Looking at it, we can see Slowking got a couple of KOs and survived. Same with Rotom-Mow. Mega Gallade took a KO, as did Registeel very nicely. Always nice to see Registeel getting some kills of its own.
We can also point out that Excelgor died without getting any kills in this match. Therefore, we can do, through the power of math, like what we tried to teach. Who did I teach math last week?
Was it Trip?
Was it Baby Eye?
It might have been
Baby Eye. I think I taught Baby Eye math this, so I'm going to lay some math down on everyone this week. If you take Frito, who got 6-0'd by Excelgor, compared to Sizz, who didn't suffer 1 death from Excelgor, then that means that Sizz is roughly 6 better than Frito, which means Frito is roughly 6 get good points behind. And if you add that on to his ever-growing 1,007,892 get good points he's already behind on, and then add the other 6, then Frito sucks. Continue on.
Well, as we've said, never let it be said that we are not educational on this segment. So thank you once again for Maths with Chaos. We learn things here.
I prefer Sir Dr. Professor Chaos.
That can also work. We can go with that. But a good win for Sizz. He'll be really relieved, I think, to get his first of the season. A well-played game, it would seem, from him. I'm sure we'll have more news for you in a couple of days when we have the power rankings to see exactly what he did in his game. But it seems he's played a very nice game here today. This loss, I don't think, will set Eric back too much. He's still in a very strong position. He's still got a very strong team. And he'll just be hungry for the victory next week, I think.
Just got to hope that no B-doofs walk by.
Yeah, don't get distracted by B-doofs, Eric. You can have 1 for the season, all right? We'll let you have 1, but no more. All right?
That's all you get.
Are we cool? You only get 1. You only get 1 B-doof moment.
Someone else also got his 1 only this season that we'll talk about later.
Yes, absolutely. But before that, we're going to go over the 5th game that happened this week. And that is going to have been Frito and the Welchions versus LA Galaxray with their new coach, of course, Slyro. You normally see him in charge of the Pittsburgh Pyro, but he has taken over from Gabe, of course. He's kept the team name, he's kept the nicknames, and he's just very much taken over that role. And in his first game in the Battle Union, Sly takes a 2-0 victory. And again, once again, we've seen it with a running theme this week, very much so. Some really interesting sets. Offensive Expert Belt Hippowdon was nice. You normally see that in a support role for Excadrill, just going defensive in some way, but he's gone fully offensive with max HP, coverage, Fang moves. Mew, not sure how much I like Mew. Stealth Rock, Super Fang, Reflect, and Roost. It can't actually kill things.
Not with that attitude.
I mean, with support from switching in on Rocks and Sandstorm, then yeah, it can get nice chip damage. But it can't take things down too much of its own accord.
It literally cannot kill a Pokemon unless Sandstorm is up, and that Pokemon is already at like 10% or 20%.
Yeah. But it's nice support from things that are full health. It can get Reflect up. It can annoy things that are statused already, which is quite nice to have. What we did see was Hidden Power Ice Excadrill. That's nice for Gliscor. I worried for Sly that only having Hidden Power Ice and Ice Fang on Hippowdon, those being his only moves to really hit Gliscor, unreliable at best. But it would be interesting to see how he used that. Frito had brought sort of Pseudo Sun to counteract the fairly obvious Sand on LA Galaxray. Solar Power Heliolisk, Chlorophyll Vileplume, Entei.
I'm sorry, I have to laugh every time you say Heliolisk.
We'll talk about Heliolisk. Hyper Beam, Solar Power Heliolisk. Frito made a bit of a boo-boo.
What item?
believing...
What item did the Heliolisk hold during this battle, Shroom?
I think, was it Power Herb?
I think it was
Or
power.
or was it White Herb? Or some form of herb?
I think it was power herb.
Yeah.
Herb, depending on what part of the world you're
where
in.
you sit in the world. But Frito was under the impression that this herb or herb was able to negate the charge turn from Hyper Beam, which he was packing on Heliolisk. Now, unfortunately, there is no item that does that. Obviously,
Really, unfortunately, I would really like that item to exist.
It would be nice because
Solar
obviously
power, Hyper Beam, Heliolisk without a recharge turn. That is terrifying.
It really would be. I mean, Solar Beam, Hyper Beam, Solar Power Heliolisk is powerful. It really is. It's used in VGC, incidentally, and it can pretty much OHKO many forms of Mega Groudon.
It does. It did like half to the Meloetta. A Meloetta.
Yeah, and that was an Assault Vest Max HP Meloetta.
Have you seen Meloetta's base stats?
Base 128 special defense.
Oh,
Base.
It's like 80 or 90 HP or something like that.
Yeah,
it's like
something like that.
it's not amazing, but it's not poor.
And I'm pretty sure it was a timid Heliolisk without a boosting item, so that's impressive.
Yes.
But yeah, there is no item to stop the charge at the end of Hyper Beam turns, unfortunately.
Can you imagine?
It'd be so good.
Blast Burn, Charizard Y that can hold an item.
No. Too pain.
What starter would that be best on? Infernate with Blast Burn? With no charge? Two Blast Burns in a row?
Sceptile with
Sceptile with Frenzy Plant.
Unburden.
Unburden Frenzy Plant? Oh my goodness.
But unfortunately that item doesn't exist, as Frito now knows.
Gen 7 incoming.
Now what we do have to say about this game as well is that Frito did get very unfortunate. There were some really crucial bits of hacks against him. He missed a Sacred Fire onto the Granbull switch-in. That meant that Granbull could get a hit off because it would have been a 2-hit KO, means that Entei takes a massive Earthquake damage that it didn't need to take.
Should have just dodged the Earthquake.
Well, that would have been ideal, obviously. Where is your Bright Powder when you need it? He also then gets critted by Fire Fang from Hippowdon onto Fortress. That did matter because it was max HP, max defense Fortress. That means no rocks. And then he misses a Draco onto the incoming Meloetta, which would have been a 2-hit KO, means that Latios takes huge damage and Meloetta picks up the KO onto Latios. So 3 bits of really bad luck for Frito. It came down to a 4v1, Gliscor being the last man standing, and Sly nearly managed to choke the game away. He nearly managed. It was like he was trying to. He gets an Acid Spray onto Gliscor, but then Gliscor is allowed to get back to health and take out the Electros because of a miscalc on Sly's part. He then goes into Mew. Mew cannot KO Gliscor. It just can't. Eventually, he goes into the Excadrill to get the HP Ice KO at -2.
Forgetting that it was at -2. Yeah, after Acid Spraying, he was like, well, my Flamethrower didn't kill, so I guess that means the minuses aren't there anymore.
Yeah, Sly nearly contrived to lose it for himself, but he managed to do it in the end. It was a bit dodgy, but he got there in the end to manage to get LA Gluttray their second win of the season.
There it is. Hopefully Sly can continue to pull the Gluttray up further.
Yes, it would be nice to see that happen to a franchise that we know and love in the Battle Union. So, with that, we can move on to the final game of the week. Now, this saw Sky and his Scandinavian Stoutlands taking on the current sort of winless St. Louis Chatots, coached, of course, by Baby Eye. And
I think Baby Eye, either Baby Eye or Richie, starting this week, they were at the bottom of the ladder. I think they are in different divisions, and they're both at the bottom of their own division, aren't they?
Yes, that is true. That is
correct. So he's like 12th or 11th in the league overall. I don't know the exacts, but basically, yeah.
Yeah. And, ladies and gentlemen, Baby Eye pulling out the 2-0 victory to give himself his first win of the season, which would be massive for him, I'm sure.
He completely destroyed with Yanmega. It was a different bug this week.
Yeah, it was a different bug that put in the work. Can we before we even talk about the teams, because this is just one of the most beautiful moments of the Battle Union Season 2. First turn, Baby Eye leads with Yanmega, and Sky leads with Diancie. Now, what does Diancie have to fear from Yanmega? Absolutely nothing. So, He's packing the Protect on and Mega Diancie. He Megas up. He doesn't go for it. And from out of nowhere, Specs Hidden Power Steel Yan Mega.
And then suddenly, seven Mega Diancies die in the distance.
Unbelievable.
The cleanest Oko I have ever seen in my life.
It was absolutely beautiful to watch, I have to say.
I had to stop the video I was watching to process it because I couldn't understand the next like 3 turns. I had to rewind.
I mean, would it be fair to say I think that Sky was not predicting that? I think that would be fair to say. I don't think he was predicting that at all.
Oh my goodness, that was insane. There was no tip-off for Sky either. Like, I can't even really blame Sky. There was no way to know, because it was the lead Mons, and it's like, oh, he predicted a different lead, so I've got the lead advantage here, so I'm going to Mega Evolve and hit something with a Moon Blast or whatever he wanted to go for, because looking at his team, his only real switch-in is Rotom H and Amoonguss, Rotom H doesn't want to take a Diamond Storm, and I don't know if Diancie gets a Psychic move or not, but I imagine he could scout what defensive the Amoonguss is by hitting it with something, which would have been nice. But anyways, there was since it was lead, there was no reason for him to be afraid of, if the Yanmega had come in on it later, he's like, oh, this must have something for me if it came in on me. But that was not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I don't begrudge Sky that first turn at all. The rogue hidden power steal from out of nowhere.
I'm just amazed
really
that Sky didn't hit forfeit.
At that point, you'd be forgiven for doing it. But looking at sort of some of the rest of the Mons that were bought, because what a first turn, but there are, of course, several other Mons on each team. Sky had brought, once again, a very setup-heavy, very powerful team. He knew that Quiver-Dance Volcarona could put in the work against Baby Eye. Baby Eye also knew that. No one was in any doubt about what Volcarona could do, which is why I was kind of surprised that Baby Eye did not bring Mega Altaria to resist those stabs.
Well, we know how well Mega Altaria has done in the last few games.
Yeah, it's one of those Mons that is a little bit dodgy as to what set you bring can either do massive work or none at all. What he did have was Rotom Heat and coverage on a very interesting Hitmonlee set. Max Attack, Max Special Defense, which I liked. Often overlooked, Hitmonlee's Special Defense stat. Often overlooked, but not by Baby Eye. He knows that it could possibly take a hit from an unset-up Volcarona and try and take it out with a Rock Slide. Unfortunately, by the time he could bring it in on the Volcarona, that Volcarona was at +2 Quiver Dances and kind of started to put in a massive amount of work, forcing Baby Eye to sack off Rotom Heat and Hitmonlee to get damage before he could force him out with Fake Out Weavile.
Can we talk about the turn where the Weavile came in and faked out and then proceeded to go for Icicle Crash instead of Knockoff on the +2, +3, +2 Volcarona?
I mean, I guess he was sort of a bit desperate at that point, looking like probably for some kind of flinch, knowing
killed,
he could
though.
Take a hit. Oh, did Knockoff actually kill? Oh, well, there you go.
Icicle Crash brought it to near death. It barely lived. I thought Icicle Crash may kill. But he said in the video, I think he said it was a roll. And I'm sitting there thinking, there is a +2 special defense, +3 special attack, +2 speed Volcarona that destroys your team sitting in front of you right now, and you're going to go for Icicle Crash, which has 95 accuracy, on a roll kill instead of pressing Knockoff for the guaranteed kill 100 accuracy. I did not agree with it at all, and I thought, if you lose because of this, you deserve it.
I mean, I suppose there was a Cobalion sitting in the back which would have liked the justified boost, but, when you're face down with that kind of threat, you should probably go for the safest option. But, Sky is under the impression that he didn't play well this game. I thought Sky made some of the good plays. There was just one crucial turn which kind of sealed the game more in Baby Eye's favour, and that was Empoleon going for Defog instead of getting up rocks of his own. Because what Sky doing that meant was that it seemed like a good play, because now Volcarona could come back in, but so could Weavile, and very crucially, Yanmega would stay at 100% when it switched in. And, Yanmega comes in and starts doing Yanmega stuff, and Sky was forced to sack off Volcarona.
I'm pretty sure if Stealth Rocks had been set up there, then Sky won, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
when I was watching Baby Eye's side, Baby Eye went through it himself while I was talking and said, yeah, if Stealth Rocks had been up there, wasn't anything he could do, and I agree.
Yeah.
But, that's how Pokemon goes.
Yeah, very much so. Sky trying to play around the Yanmega with Cobalion, I actually thought he made the right kind of plays in some situations. At the point where he did outspeed, because he was a Scarfed Cavalion, he went for Volt Switch for damage. And then, knowing that Yanmega would outspeed later, but probably couldn't Oko, he then started going for his stab move, Ironhead. I think that was the right decision in terms of move turn. He probably could have gone for Stone Edge over Ironhead. I guess he didn't want to miss and thought that Ironhead could take out the fairly frail Yanmega. Unfortunately, it couldn't, because I believe he was Jolly Nature, not Adamant. So at that point, Yanmega was fairly free to run riot. But, you know, some nice builds on both sides once again. I really liked Sky bringing safety goggles, set Sword Dance Heracross, which worked. It worked absolutely fine. It did exactly what he wanted it to. Took a Spore from Amoonguss, set up a Sword Dance, and destroyed its face with a Mega Horn.
Oh, the pain.
Yeah, I mean, Sky had some of the right stuff. It was just one or two plays that didn't go his way, which did give the first win for Baby Eye of the season. But, you know, that'll work wonders for Baby Eye, but Sky, he'll just be more hungry for the wins once again. You know, this is a very good player who won't be set back too much by this. I think my final thing I want to say on that is, Baby Eye, I see you. I see you with your less than ideal in your team builder. I see you and I approve.
I would like to end this entire looking over the 6 battles with nay.
Nay, indeed, is correct.
Which is always more than ideal.
It is. It basically sums up the battles to a T. Some really cool ones, nice sets all over the place. Some slightly unexpected results, which really throw some of the standings wide open when it comes down to looking for spots in the playoffs.
Speaking of standings.
Exactly, we can segue beautifully in. Oh, we're so good at this. We can segue nicely into the standings as they are. So let's take a little
man,
look
I wish I had a segue.
So I've never been on a Segway.
Neither have I, but it looks like I would be fine with ruling the world from on a Segway.
I think so. I mean, every world leader and tyrant needs a Segway, I think.
I mean, I would definitely follow anyone who had on a crown, a red robe, and was on a Segway.
Definitely. Let's make it happen. I think...
This is how we're going to elect... Forget Trump in 2016. We're going to elect based on who has the best Segway.
Yes, very much so. Segway for president. Hashtag Segway for president in the comment section.
Let's get it trending.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
It probably will get more votes than Trump.
Very much so. But yes, that weird sort of tangent that we went off on. Let us take a look at the standings. First up with the Kanto Division. Sitting at the top of the Kanto Division, the only one left with a perfect record is Josh and SLATEPORT VALE, sitting at 5-0 with that big plus 15 differential.
Is that 5 hacks, 0 hacks?
Very much so. Very much so. And then, of course, in at second, we have Super Gassy. New York SHELNETS sitting at 4-1 at the moment, I believe. With 4-1 with a very interesting 4 differential, which is quite a lot lower than SLATEPORT VALE. You know, a lot of the SHELNETS games have been very close this season. Then in at third, we have Enzo and the Swiskers at 3-2 with a plus 5 differential. Just above Trip and the Dallas STARAVIAS coming back also at 3-2 with a plus 3 differential, so just behind the Swiskers. Then we have the Dungannon Typhlosions and Quill. They are at 1-4 with a minus 10 differential, and at the bottom, unfortunately for him, the only one yet to get a win this season so far is Richie and Livewormpool FC, sitting at 0-5 with a minus 13 differential.
He'll come back because he's the true horse.
Oh, definitely.
Anyways, on to the Johto division. We have, despite their loss this week, still standing at the top, Eric and the Bristol Beedoofs with 4 wins, 1 loss, and a differential of 12, which I believe puts him above Gassy and just below Josh, so he's in second overall. Then we have the Scandinavian Stoutlands, once again, despite the loss, still holding on to second place with 3 wins, 2 losses, and a plus 5 differential. Then we have the LA Gluxray, who are still short a week with 2 wins and 2 losses, which kind of makes it a little weird to know exactly where he stands, if he would be above the Stoutlands or not. And he has a plus 2 differential. Then we have the Welshians beneath that with 2 wins and 3 losses with a neutral differential. I had to make sure I was reading the right one there because I thought, does he really have a 0? But yes, that's 4th place. 5th place is the Word Scissors with 1 win, 3 losses, again, missing a match because the week one between LA Gluxray and the Scissors has not happened yet, with a -8 differential. And then we have the St. Louis Chaotots finally with 1 win, 4 losses, and a -15 differential. Hopefully he can continue what he had this week and start to get that differential down closer to 0.
Definitely. I think just before we look at the next segment, we missed a really nice opportunity there. We have faith that Richie can come back, so perhaps we would call him the dark horse of the league. Am I right? Chaos, speak to me.
I'm holding auditions for a new host this Thursday. If you all would like to hit me up at Shroom is Horrible. I'm going to be sending Gabe a picture that I hope he puts on screen right now. But anyways.
Anyway, yeah, so moving on to the next segment, which is, of course, the MVP race. Let's see how this week's matches have changed the top 10. So, starting off at number 10, we have Heracross of the Scandinavian Stoutlands with 5 KOs, 1 death, so a +4 differential for Heracross, one of 3 bugs that we've got in the MVP race this week. At number 9, also with 5 and 1, we have Chandelure from Josh's SLATEPORT VALE. Sitting at 8, we have Entei, the powerful Entei from Frido's Welshons, sitting at 6 and 2, so also a +4 differential. Up at 7, after a really, really good week for the Chatots, we have Baby Eyes Yan Mega, took 5 KOs, I believe, this week, taking it up to 6 and 1. Which is drawing nicely with number 6 on the table, which is, of course, Milotic of the Bristol Beedus, sitting at 6 and 1 with that +5 differential.
Moving on to the top 5, which, by the way, 4 through 7 are all tied at the moment, I believe.
Yeah.
In 5th, we have, again, with the Beedufs, Honchcrow, who is sitting at 6 and 1, like I said, and then also with the Beedufs. For 4th, we have Excelgor, 6 and 1. They're all tied. Eric likes to keep all of his mons in a nice, orderly little line here.
Yeah.
And Jan Mega is over there trying to pretend like it's on the Beedufs team because it's like, I want to be with the good bug, and it's like, nah, man, get out of here. Then in 3rd, in the top 3, we've got first Kyurem, 3rd place, 7 kills, 2 deaths from the LA Gluxray. After that, in 2nd place, we have Gudra, 9 kills, 2 deaths from the Swiskers. And then number 1, we have the SHELNETS Azumarill still standing at the top with 9 kills and 2 deaths. I believe that is tied with the Swiskers Gudra, both of them having +7. So it's we've got a lot of very close MVP races here. If I'm correct, I believe Terrakion is number 11 with like 4-1 or something like that. It's very close as well. So,
yeah, it is very, very close up at the top.
Yes, it's very going to be very interesting to see. It can pretty much, over just 1 week, with how it is right now, the MVP race can change almost completely depending on what happens.
Absolutely. And it'll be interesting to see how many bugs we can get up into that top 10.
Can we just have a mono MVP bug?
Oh, I hope so. I hope it turns into that.
Plus Mega Diancie.
Of course, Mega Diancie. Just to spite Shoddy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the reason why we do? Isn't the entire TBU made to spite Shoddy?
It's the reason we exist, I think.
That's what I was told. That's why I joined.
That's why I signed up. But yes, that is the MVP race for this week. So we'll really quickly take a look at the bench trades that have happened.
I haven't heard these. I didn't even
week.
know any had happened.
Gonna be some interesting ones. There are only 3 that have happened.
Okay.
Now, first up, Trip. Shoddy will be so pleased to hear he has moved Quagsire to the bench.
Thank goodness, finally.
And interestingly, he has brought Breloom into the fold.
Oh my, it is literally my birthday.
Is it? Oh, happy birthday, Kevin.
No, it's not. My birthday is in December. But, like, one of my most hated Pokemon switched for one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. Breloom is my #1 non-legendary Pokemon, period.
Oh, well,
Trip
there we go.
You know what, Trip? You're officially off the list.
Ah, X, I'm sure Trip will be relieved to hear that.
Yeah, it's, when I say the list, I mean the list of people that Sizz wishes he could beat, but he can't because he's bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hashtag throwback. But anyway, good job on finally making me proud of you for once, Trip. I never thought you'd pull it off.
There it is, not bad. So, the second bench trade that we have is another interesting one. Josh has moved Staraptor to the bench in place for Scolipede. So very interesting. One of the Premier Wallbreakers has gone to the bench and been replaced by one of the Premier Setup Mons.
Josh, I want to like you, man. I really want to like you. With all of your hacksy hilarity that you have going on, I really want to like you. But first you drop Tyrantrum, and then you bench Staraptor. Can we get to the last bench trade, please?
The last bench trade, Sly, is looking to change up his team once again, his newly acquired team. He has moved Dragalge to the bench and picked up Whimsicott. So that's going to be interesting to see what he does with Whimsicott. A bit of a tricksy mon brought in place of just a
See, I like both of those mons, so I don't know if I should be upset or happy, because I do really like both of them.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't looked at his matchups or anything, but I feel like I could either call him stupid for it, or I could say good move for it. I don't know yet. I'll have to wait and see.
One thing I want to mention very quickly. We mentioned Tripp has moved Quagsire to the bench for Breloom. Tripp has no switches left this season, which means Quagsire is on the bench for the rest of the season.
Finally, some good news.
Tripp doing well with our analysts. I'm sure they're going to be happy to hear that.
I'm pretty sure that Tripp just moved up 3 power ranking spots in Shoddy's book for that.
I'm sure he probably did. So, we can also now take a look, with the bench trades done, to next week's games, and there are some really interesting ones. First up, we have Richie and Liv Wempool FC taking on Sizz and the Somerset Scissors. Now, this is going to be fascinating. Richie and Sizz are very good friends. They get on like a house on fire. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what these two are going to bring to the table for their game. It can only be hilarious, I think. It's going to be really good to see what they do. Second game, that's going to be Quill and the Dungannon Typhlosions taking on Baby Eye and the St. Louis Chattots. Both of these guys on 1 and 4. So this is sort of a lower table scrap, both of them looking to try and assert themselves a little bit more. So that's probably going to be quite a close game too. Third up, we're going to see Tripp and the Dallas Staravias taking on Sky's Scandinavian Stoutlands. Once again, I believe both of these are on the same differential, both on, it's not differential, sorry, win-to-loss ratio. Both, I believe, on 3 and 2 at this point. So that's going to be an entertaining game as well. Another two teams very similarly placed. Then, what a game this is going to be. The fourth game sees Josh and Slateport Vale taking on Eric and the Bristol Beedoofs. This is huge. These are two of the top-ranked teams in the league this season, battling it out for ultimate supremacy, and this will give us a really good insight into who the front runner is for the title, I think.
I can't wait
these two are really up there.
I can't wait for Eric to miss 3 head smashes and his Megalotti ass to get paralyzed 4 times in a row.
Oh, that would be terrible if it happened.
I can't wait. We all know it's going to happen. Don't act like, oh, if it happens, it's going to happen. It
probably will. I mean, it's going to be interesting because Eric has taken his first loss. He is going to be desperate to get back into winning ways, and what better team, in his mind, I think, to get back on track than to try and take a victory against the so far undefeated Slateport Vale. So that is going to be huge.
Eric is going to get into the battle, and all of his Pokemon are going to be level 40 for some reason.
That would be less than ideal, I think.
For someone, it would be.
But yeah, that's going to be a fun one to watch. Fifth game, that's going to see Gassy and the New York Shelnets taking on Slyro and L.A. Gluxray. Sly has taken his first victory of the season with his newly acquired team. Gassy looking to get back on track to where he wants to be in winning ways. So that's going to be a fun game to watch. Final one of Week 6 is going to see Enzo and the Swiskers taking on the Welshions, of course, coached by our very own Freedomion. Fredo has had a bit of a barren run as far as wins go of late. Enzo, he's still looking good despite a couple of iffy results for him, especially the one just gone, I believe. He did he lose? He did, yeah. He lost to Josh.
Yeah, he lost.
Yeah. So yeah, both of them really fighting for a victory, sort of mid-place, looking to assert themselves and really get into the running for one of those playoff spots. So with that said and done, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to wrap things up with the Smack Talk section. Yes, indeed, we are back here to see what the coaches are saying about each other. Now, it should be said that in the run-up to next week's games, not a lot of Smack Talk has gone down. it's strange. Not a lot of Smack Talk has gone down at all. Usually we can see the coaches really sort of needling each other, but this time not a lot of it has happened. Only one big exchange to go over. That's between opponents last week, Eric, Ashen Akai, and Freedomion.
Wait, you mean to tell me
speaking
that
about-
Eric actually smack talked?
He did. Well, he got himself involved a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Which is nice to see, you know. And, you know, they were talking about Eric's loss this week. You know, it's kind of wishful thinking for any coach to go unbeaten for an entire season. That flawless season is really sort of the pinnacle of what one can achieve in a draft league season, and it's an unrealistic dream as far as most is concerned. So they were talking about how it was bound to happen at some time. Yeah, Eric was talking about that sort of bad luck that he had with losing. Not so much that he got hacks, but it's unfortunate. And he was talking about his unfortunateness, and Frito said not to use it all up before he beats him in the finals, which sort of got Eric going. And he was just saying, oh, Frito, that's the one game. And Shardy decided to come in just saying, Frito, finals. Not sure Shardy thinks Frito's going to get there.
I'm not sure anyone thinks Frito is going to get there, to be honest with you.
Well, Eric certainly doesn't, because whilst Frito said that he is winning every game from here on out, Eric asserts that so is he. So Frito says, like, we can't both win the finals, mate. Get your loser's face ready. At which point Eric, at the same time, says, then get ready to lose again. Excelgor is coming.
Frito isn't going to lose in the finals. He has to get there to lose there, doesn't he?
Well, this is true, but stranger things have happened. You know, Frito is still a very, very fierce competitor, and whilst he's had a bit of a sort of lack of fortune in the last few games.
Shroom, I know we do this thing where, like, I down someone very heavily, and then you kind of, like, without really saying that they're good, like, try and bring them back up, like, well, you know, it can happen, all that, but stop. Just stop.
I have to play devil's advocate. Someone's going to be the good guy here.
No, there is no good or bad guy with Frito. It's the get good, and the get good says it's not going to happen, so move on.
Well, I shall move on. Eric, of course, said that Excelgor is coming. Frito says, fool me once. Clearly not thinking that he's going to be taken down by an Excelgor again.
I'm pretty sure an Excelgor did not fool him. It just flat out annihilated him. There was no fooling about it. It came out and pressed bug buzz, and that was the end.
But Eric, rather sort of ominously stating that, he said, remember, my team was designed to beat Entei. You haven't seen what it was even meant to do. That 6-0 was a happy accident. Which is kind of ominous when you think about it, because he was sort of designing that team to try and beat Entei, and Frito didn't bring Entei to that game, and so he said that the 6-0 was a happy accident, and then Frito, Frito, what are you doing here? He says, your mom told me you were an unhappy accident, which is just the oldest of joke forms. I
can't confirm that his mom said that though.
Well, potentially, but yeah. Frito has said that he is good for one mom joke a season, so that is all you're allowed, Frito. No more of that. But yeah, that was pretty much the exchange, the back and forth. So what do we think of that? Do we think that this matchup can happen? Will either of them get to the finals?
Eric, sure. Frito, no.
Oh, there it is, straight in there.
I don't even have to make a joke. I'm just stating facts at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not out of Frito's hands. He could still get there, technically. It is still a possibility. I think given the way that...
I feel like the other 11 members of the league get hospitalized and can't use their 3DSs, then I guess Frito could get to the finals, but I just don't see it happening.
Well, there it is. Chaos certainly asserting his view on this. So let us know in the comment section, what do you think of this? Do you think that Frito can still get to the finals? Do you think that the final matchup is going to be Eric versus Frito? Let us know. We're always really interested to hear what you guys have to say on the matter. But as we said, there wasn't too much in the way of smack talk. Chaos has tried to stir some things up just before we started recording, but not many people are biting today, which is unfortunate.
Like, I made the mistake of insulting all the people who have no idea how to smack talk. Like, I just said, Trip, you smell bad. Frito, you're still a pitiful failure. Despite his win, Baby I is still and always will be the worst, and other than Sizz, who can't even computer write, let alone play Pokemon. And Sizz is too busy to notice. Baby I and Trip don't know how to smack talk, apparently, and Frito is MIA. So I should have gone for Josh, and I don't know, who else could I have gone for?
Eric
Eric can't smack talk.
Yeah, I mean, the one person who really can, of course, Sizz is basically the king of Smack Talk. We all know it.
Yeah, he was too busy.
Yeah, he's distracted, of course. As we know, ongoing computer issues are a thing for Sizz, and we do wish him the best of luck in getting that sorted because we all need a bit more Sizz in our lives.
I should have just gone and talked to Slyro for like 5 minutes. He's in another call. I should have just hit him up like, hey, we need some Smack Talk. Let's you and me powwow for a bit. That would have worked. But anyways,
I think Slyro would be good at Smack Talk.
When he wants to be, he is. But anyways,
Yeah.
all that aside, we need to wrap up here.
Yes, we do, because that is the end of this week's Union News. So thank you all very much for joining us. We do hope that you have enjoyed. Stick around on the channel for future analytical videos coming up as the week progresses. And of course, keep an eye out on our coaches' channels for the Week 6 games that will be happening towards the end of this week. But as we say, we're going to get out of here. Chaos, your final thoughts on the week?
My final thoughts on the week. Crap, I didn't plan anything. Give me a second. I can come up with something, probably. Richie is still the best.
Are you sure? There it is.
Jan Mega will also be joining Excelgor in Frito's dreams. Something Slyro's going to do good. And Gassy doesn't know how to use words.
There it is. The summation from Chaos, which is entirely true in every way, shape, and form. But as we say, we're going to get out of here. So our final thank you to you all for joining us. And yeah, we're going to wrap it up. So take care, TVU fans. See you next time.
You sure you don't want to tell them like good night, sweet dreams or anything? Like that one week you did?
I'm trying to sort of reel it back in. You know, I'm not going too overboard.
We're not fishing, Shroom. We're not fishing. Farewell, everyone. Farewell.
Goodbye. Not bad. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not out of Frito's hands. He could still get there technically. It is still a possibility. I think given the way that...
I feel like the other 11 members of the league get hospitalized and can't use their 3DSs, then I guess Frito could get to the finals, but I just don't see it happening.
Well, there it is. Chaos certainly asserting his view on this. So let us know in the comment section. What do you think of this? Do you think that Frito can still get to the finals? Do you think that the final matchup is going to be Eric versus Frito? Let us know. We're always really interested to hear what you guys have to say on the matter. But as we said, there wasn't too much in the way of Smack Talk. Chaos has tried to stir some things up just before we started recording, but not many people are biting today, which is unfortunate.
Like, I made the mistake of insulting all the people who have no idea how to Smack Talk. Like, I just said, Trip, you smell bad. Frito, you're still a pitiful failure. Despite his win, Baby I is still and always will be the worst. And other than Sizz, who can't even computer write, let alone play Pokemon. And Sizz is too busy to notice. Baby I and Trip don't know how to Smack Talk, apparently. And Frito is MIA. So I should have gone for Josh. And, I don't know, who else could I have gone for?
Eric
Can't Smack Talk.
Yeah, I mean, the one person who really can, of course, Sizz is basically the king of Smack Talk. We all know it.
Yeah, he was too busy.
Yeah, he's distracted, of course. As we know, ongoing computer issues are a thing for Sizz. And we do wish him the best of luck in getting that sorted because we all need a bit more Sizz in our lives.
I should have just gone and talked to Slyro for like 5 minutes. He's in another call. I should have just hit him up like, hey, we need some Smack Talk. Let's you and me powwow for a bit. That would have worked. But anyways,
I think Slyro would be good at Smack Talk.
When he wants to be, he is. But anyways,
yeah.
all that aside, we need to wrap up here.
Yes, we do, because that is the end of this week's Union News. So thank you all very much for joining us. We do hope that you have enjoyed. Stick around on the channel for future analytical videos coming up as the week progresses. And of course, keep an eye out on our coaches' channels for the Week 6 games that will be happening towards the end of this week. But as we say, we're going to get out of here. Chaos, your final thoughts on the week?
My final thoughts on the week. Crap, I didn't plan anything. Give me a second. I can come up with something, probably. Richie is still the best.
Are you sure? There it is.
Jan Mega will also be joining Excelgor in Frito's dreams. Something Slyro's going to do good. And Gassy doesn't know how to use words.
There it is. The summation from Chaos, which is entirely true in every way, shape, and form. But as we say, we're going to get out of here. So our final thank you to you all for joining us. And yeah, we're going to wrap it up. So take care, TVU fans. See you next time.
You sure you don't want to tell them like good night, sweet dreams or anything? Like that one week you did?
I'm trying to sort of reel it back in. You know, I'm not going too overboard.
We're not fishing, Shroom. We're not fishing. Farewell, everyone. Farewell.
Goodbye. Not bad.